Yo, how's everybody doing? Appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm gonna let a couple more people get in here and then we'll get it cracking. I gotta tweet out the link. Just posted it in the Discords. Yo, how's everybody doing? All right, hold on. I don't like this music. I like this. All right. I hope everybody is having a good weekend. We're gonna lock in this week, man. I'm dropping frames again. Shoot. Hold on. I think I'm good. Give me like 2 seconds. 'Cause I don't want this dropping frames. I'll be right back. All right, I think we're good. Y'all can see everything, right? Yeah, we should be chilling. All right, I'm about to throw on the charts. So let me post this on Twitter. All right. How's everybody doing? Let's hop into these charts. Let me get this set up. All right, boom. Let's cook. All right, let's see what looks good this week. Let me know if it drops frames or anything, because for some reason it says it is. Let me catch up with the chat. Jahil, what's up, bro? What's up? Ghost to Trading, what's up? We lit, we here. Nonzo Collins, let's go. What's up, bro? Empower Trades, Max Lee, what's good? Safari. Exen, how do I pronounce that? Max Lee, think it would be good to start with the current. Yeah, I always start with the futures, the Dixie and currency futures. Economic calendar looking like we should get some nice moves this week. All right, let's get into it. Hopefully the stream doesn't drop frames at all, because it's red on my screen. I don't really know why it's doing this though. Maybe if I raise the bit rate. All right, boys. we're just gonna pray for the best here, and you guys let me know if there's any issues with the frame rate or anything, but just gonna pray for the best. What's up, ZEDSMC? All right, let's get into it. All right, so let me turn this music down real quick. Let me know if the music is good right there. It should be good. Yo, Julian, what's up, bro? Just did my forecast. Got to compare now to see what I missed. Exactly. That's what I want you guys to be doing. I want you guys to do your forecast before watching mine. Build your watch list. Build the things that you're interested in before watching my weekly forecast, before watching my streams, because then, you know, you can see what you saw and you're not creating codependency. You're actually, you know, coming up with your own ideas, your own watch list, and then you can compare it to what I saw. That's the best way to go about it. So definitely recommend doing that. I think that's the best way to do it. Let's go. All right, bro. My bit rate is dropping though, so I'm hoping there's no frame drops or anything. My Wi-Fi is not hitting. Eric, yep, done mine too. Nice. All right, let's start on dollar. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. You guys know the drill. We need to look at the economic calendar. All right, you guys know the drill. Every single Sunday, first thing we do, check out the economic calendar for the week that is following. The reason we do this is because it acts as our guide for what days are likely to expand. What days are they, you know, likely to hold price and consolidation and have lethargic price action. So the economic calendar alone is an edge. It tilts probabilities in your favor and hints to you what days you should be looking to execute on, what days you should be looking to sit on the sidelines and go touch grass. So on Monday, as you can see, we have USD red folder at 8:30 a.m. and at noon. So Monday is valid to trade, in my opinion, on USD, you know, correlated pairs. 8:30 Canadian dollar red folder and USD red folder on Tuesday. New Zealand dollar CPI at night on Tuesday. So CAD, US dollar, and New Zealand dollar are valid to trade intraday on Tuesday. There's no big news driver later in the week. A lot of times what you'll see with US dollar, when there's a big three news driver later in the week, you know, whether that's FOMC, NFP, or CPI, and then there's nothing early in the week in terms of news, price usually just holds up, consolidates throughout the week, and then expands. You know, it waits up for those big three news drivers, but we don't have that this week. So Wednesday we have pound and AUD red folder, both valid to trade intraday. This economic calendar looks nice. It looks like it could be a really nice week ahead of us. Do you use weekly, daily profiles regarding the economic calendar? I do not. I personally don't. I don't need it. I just use the economic calendar as a guide to know which days we're likely to expand on. All right, I'm going to try and drop this bit rate to 10K and see if it helps it be more stable. Because it's going like in and out. It should be stable at 10K. All right, boom. I think we're good. All right, let's cook. Thursday, we have British pound red folder, euro red folder, and US dollar red folder. All three of those currencies are valid to trade intraday because of this news, right? Because we want to execute on the days that price wants to expand. For the swings, it's not as cookie cutter to where you need to demand red folder on the day. You just want to see it on the week usually, because that'll say to you, you know, price is probably going to move this week when there's a good amount of red folder. So you can enter a swing on Monday when there's no news and then be expecting it to expand later in the week. You know, swing is multiple days. You're not expecting it to deliver the same day. But with those 5-minute, 15-minute, 1-minute entries, you really want to be executing on days with red folder to make sure that price wants to expand that day. Feel me? All right. So very first thing we do is start on the currencies every single week. Dollar, the world currency, is where I would be starting. Get rid of these. So the monthly alone, there's not much to see here. We do have this monthly previous candle low, this previous month's low sell side that looks like the draw on liquidity just based off the monthly. This is just consolidation on the monthly, right? This is not ideal price action. We're just consolidating. I don't even know if we swept that high. If we did, we barely did. Didn't sweep the previous candle low. See how we're just inside candles? It's all inside candles, just consolidation. Low probability on the monthly. But it does look like it's pretty obvious that this candle right here is drawing towards that previous month low. You know, the sell side that's resting here. So it's going to be a swing point on the daily. Right? So the weekly created this breakaway gap. The big news last week, CPI made it very obvious that this is seeking the sell side. So we have bearish dollar towards this sell side. At, you know, this level, that's where I could expect some kind of retracement or pullback to potentially head lower or whatever it's going to do. I need to gauge the lower time frames once we sweep this sell side to see if price wants to, you know, retrace higher. But right now it's just seeking the sell side, and then I'll reassess once we get here. You know, you want to see once we take this sell side resting here, this liquidity, do we expand through it? Meaning, do we create a strong body close on the candle through this sell side, or do we sweep it with a wick and respect it? Because that'll indicate what we want to do next. So that's something you really want to do all the time with these higher time frame PD rays, whether it's a fair value gap, a liquidity pool on the higher time frame. You want to gauge those candle bodies and wicks to make sure, you know, is price respecting and like wicking and respecting that area and potentially heading higher now, or is it expanding through and disrespecting that area? You know, that would show weakness, continuation lower. So to trade intraday, do we wait for the news after trade? So as long as it's not big three news, meaning CPI, FOMC, and NFP, sorry. As long as it's not one of those big three, CPI, FOMC, and NFP, you can trade through the news. You can hold trades through the news because they have, you know, enough volatility to where it helps your trade, but you can still manage the risk. Whereas with FOMC, NFP, and CPI, you can't effectively manage your risk. So it's basically gambling. So I would only recommend doing that if you're on an eval, you don't care, and you have the pockets to just buy another eval. But that's not a good habit to build. So big disclaimer there. Which of the big three is obvious to cause market reversal before hitting the higher time? They all can. It really depends on the price action. You know, they can cause continuation, or they can cause a reversal from a higher time frame PD ray. How the news about Trump will affect the US market, I have no idea. That's the truth. You know, I'm not too, in terms of my trading, I'm not fundamental. I don't worry about bonds. I don't worry about any fundamentals. Like, and I'm not even too worried about politics. Like, that's not something I would ever discuss on this channel because I don't think any good comes from it. Again, I'm not saying that you're bringing up like politics or whatever, but yeah, I don't know how it will affect the market, but the order flow will tell you. You know, the price action will tell you what it's doing. So it really doesn't matter to me like trying to figure out how it'll affect price, because price will just show you. You know, everything that you want, everything that you need lies within the candlesticks and the order flow. So to me, it's just like I won't even waste time trying to guess how that news will affect the market. I'll just let the market tell me and then adjust. You know what I'm saying? So the order flow, it'll always tell you what you need to know. Everything that you need is within the order flow. And that's why I'm not, you know, very fundamental in terms of how I look at charts or anything like that. How can you determine a breakaway gap from a normal fair value gap? All right, so I'll answer that really quick, and then I gotta start cooking through these. So on this third candle, this is how you gauge whether or not this is gonna be a retest of the fair value gap that gets formed here. or a breakaway gap, right? So say that this is the third candle, right? This is our third candle that is creating this fair value gap right here. If this close of the candle expands through, this is just a rule of thumb, if it expands through this expansion candle, the second candle like this, and closes down here, we're likely creating a breakaway gap and seeking the sell side. But if we just consolidate and we close, you know, within this candle's low like this, then we're much more likely to just retest before heading lower. So basically the way to tell if it's a breakaway gap or a fair value gap retest is by viewing this third candle and reading how it closes. If it closes strongly, well below, you know, this second candle low, then we're likely just creating a breakaway gap like that, which is what we've done here. So because of this third candle, we know that this is a breakaway gap. You're not expecting a huge retracement into a breakaway gap here. You're expecting this to take sell side first and then potentially retrace a little bit. Charts are a reflection of news, right? The order flow, the candlesticks are going to be a reflection of all the fundamentals. So I don't really need to worry about the fundamentals because the order flow will just tell me. All right, let me get cooking. So weekly breakaway gap, we're so close to this draw, I would expect us to just take this sell side, and then like I said, from there I want to see, do we wick and respect this level and then potentially retrace, or do we just expand through and show weakness lower, sorry. So if we expand strong through this, body close through this level, showing like a lot of weakness lower. All right. Monthly internal to external potentially. So 6A is expanding towards this buy side by the looks of it. Weekly fair value area right here. So I would look for price to, if we do retrace, price should expand higher off of this level. This looks like a breakaway gap. Again, going back to the criteria I just said to you, it's just a good rule of thumb. So if we expand strong through this second candle high, we're more likely to just have a breakaway gap here than we are to retrace. Again, that's not an 100% thing. Everything is probabilities. Everything is, you know, just numbers. It's not a guaranteed thing, but it's a good rule of thumb. So that should act as fair value. We should head higher off that if we do want to retest that. But the way this third candle looks, we may not even retest that, and it could be a breakaway gap. There is no, I guess there is this really small one, but it's not ideal. I was going to say there isn't really any clear fair value gaps in this price leg, which is kind of sus. But yeah, so this looks bullish in terms of the order flow. That would make sense because we have a bearish dollar. Bearish dollar, bullish currencies. So pound took this external right here. We had internal to external on pound. The way this body, see, this is exactly what I mean and what I was referring to before, right? When we go through these PD arrays on the higher time frame, this is a big monthly premium array. This is monthly buy side liquidity. We want to gauge how the candle acts at those levels. See how we strong close through it. The body just closed extremely strong through. This candle is showing so much strength right now through that level that I'm expecting, you know, more continuation higher, and pound looks really, really strong. So I would expect us to be seeking potentially this buy side now because we've clearly expanded through that level, and you know, this is creating an imbalance on this third. Once this third candle forms, we're creating a weekly fair value gap. So yeah, this looks, pound looks super, super strong. This area should become fair value for us to head higher off of, and yeah, this looks really bullish. We don't have clear context right now, so I'll throw it on the wait list, but that looks really, really clear and obvious to want to go higher. Now, see the difference, right? See the intention of pound to head higher versus Canadian dollar just consolidating. Swept this high, back into the range. This is not favorable price action. This weekly consolidation. This is not the type of thing that you want to be getting involved with. Swept this high, it's just going right back into the range. Not ideal. I mean, it's just gross, just super, super gross. So I'm not interested in Canadian dollar. It's a consolidating currency right now. Every week, you know, I talk about this a lot in my Discord and in Pickle's Discord. We want to categorize the currencies and then use that currency duality theory. And the currency duality theory is just pairing strong and weak currencies. That is how you're going to get your most explosive price moves, your most high probability trades on forex. So euro is also showing a lot of intention to head higher. I have to look at euro pound. I want to look at euro pound really quick. This is interesting because Europe, I don't want to get all over the place. let me not get all over the place. I'll go back to that after. Yeah, euro is strong as well. Looking to seek this monthly, previous month high, this monthly buy side liquidity. Clear breakaway gap here again, reading that third candle. We've expanded through. Strong close. This should not get traded back to. There should be no reason for us to want to retest that right now. It's a breakaway gap. Euro looks very bullish as well. I'll throw it on the wait list. Everything has been pretty bullish besides Canadian dollar. Yen has literally been so weak for so long. But we're retracing right now. We're at this SIBI on the weekly. So what I want to do is gauge the 4 hour. If the 4 hour shifts state of delivery from this, you know, weekly SIBI right here. Let me transpose that over. If the 4 hour shifts bearish here, could be really nice. Sweep of this high, stop hunt, you know, a breaker lower. Could be really nice. Yen has been super weak, so I'm gonna put that on the potential wait list again for shorts. But there also is a scenario where we just continue to expand higher on yen right now and just continue to retrace. And if that's the case, you know, I'm not really interested. So right now it's just retracing. But the highest probability trades on yen, because it's so weak, are going to be shorts. Weekly internal to external on New Zealand dollar. Let's compare that to 6A. AUD looks stronger to me. So we have the weekly internal to external. Could be long. 6S has been weird, bro. I'm not a fan of how 6S has been acting. We wanted to see, you know, lower prices, and we're sweeping this high, but CPI kind of threw a wrench in everything. 6S is just acting really weird. I'm not really interested in this. It's not following through the way that I expect it to. It's not acting the way that I would like to see. We have this internal to external, but I need to see clear intention lower if I'm ready to short that. So I'm just waiting on that. So yeah, the currencies are kind of weird. The currencies are in a weird spot right now, where dollar's heading lower, so they should be bullish, and then we want to gauge how dollar reacts from this level. But yeah, the currencies are not really helping right now. Could you also just label the currencies as green, red, wait, please, just for the sake of the... Yeah, that's what I've been doing. Can you please share your color code before you end stream? Yeah, it's in my... Join my free Discord. It's pinned into the main chat. My exact color codes. My chart colors are pinned in the main chat of my free Discord. All right, AUD, USD. If we are bearish on dollar right now in the short term, then these four, you know, XXX USD currencies should be. Bro, my stream just disconnected for a second. I think we're good now though. Just disconnected really fast. Not sure what just happened. Hopefully we're all good now. Can you please share your... Oh yeah, I already done that. Loading. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. My thing disconnected. Hopefully we're all good now. All right, we back. Yeah, so AUD USD, this area should act as fair value. I want to gauge on the daily and 4 hour if we want to pull back potentially to here. The way that this candle closed, it looks more like a breakaway gap to me. Should see continuation higher. But yeah, we do have the monthly internal to external, so I add this to the long list. This is very clearly seeking this buy side liquidity right here. Weekly breakaway gap. Don't want to see that get retested right now. Daily, likely a breakaway gap. We're so close to that draw on liquidity. Again, I would not want to see that get retested. We should just continue to expand right here. There's not much for me to do on euro. Pound as well, extremely strong. Huge, huge, huge body close through that buy side liquidity. So I'm not expecting retest right now. Very, very strong euro and pound though. Again, breakaway gap. Not much to say on this. There's no real context to operate within. If they create daily context, then I will consider them for longs. But right now, that's just not happening. Maybe if this third candle consolidates, we can get some daily context on these guys. But let's say, for example, we have monthly IRL to ERL and there. We want to have more confirmation. We wait for daily for value add. My bad. Let me reword that. Greetings from Nigeria. Please analyze copper. I got you. Copper is on my list. Towards the end, I will be looking at copper. Not much context on G right now. No reason to force. Exactly. I just want to wait for daily context. That's the only reason I added it to the wait list, because it is very clearly strong. So we just want to wait for that daily context if we're gonna operate on GU. This is gross. I'm not interested in this. Right? Why would I even waste my time trying to figure this out right now? Just low probability. Same thing on USD CAD, right? Insta skip. We have so many pairs on this watch list. We have so many pairs here. We don't need to worry or waste brain points on pairs that are just not showing intention to head lower. Took an L on USD CHF longs last week. Again, you don't want to trade through CPI. I was on a forex evaluation. I don't care if I lose a forex evaluation. I don't care if you know, it slips me on an eval, so that's why I did that. Again, do not do that. if you can't afford to just buy new evals, if you don't, and you never should do that on funded accounts or live accounts. That's literally gambling. So the only reason I did that is because it's evals, being fully transparent with you guys. Because I just don't care, right? If I fail the eval, I'll just buy another. But let's look at this price. So I would have wanted to see price expand on this next monthly candle. The way that this candle closed, we should have had an expansion by now to head higher. So to me, this doesn't look good for longs on USD CHF right now based on the monthly. Body closed below this weekly bullish fair value gap. I do think that we can continue lower potentially. This doesn't look ideal. Bearish dollar, we would be bearish on USD CHF. So I do think that USD CHF may see more continuation lower, potentially. Same thing with 6S. It's just weird. USD CHF 6S, same thing. They're just acting weird. The only difference between 6S and USD CHF is their inverse, right? So 6S is CHF USD. UJ sweeping previous month high, failing to head higher off this fair value gap. This looks to go lower for sure. Daily fair value gaps, yep. Potentially can retest here. It looks like this may want to retest. I'll add this to the short list. Could be nice. Potential like that to head lower. AUD CAD. Bullish. We've been bullish on AUD CAD. This acts as fair value, but we are just expanding through. Weekly potential breakaway gap here. May not want to retest that. Daily, do we have any context? We do not. We have this daily, but it is likely a breakaway gap. So AUD CAD has been strong, but not much to do on that. Monthly internal to external on AUD CHF. This would make sense if we have, you know, bearish CHF, if CHF does want to head lower. Alright. IRA Euro weekly. This could potentially retest. Add this to the long list. May not want to do that. Is there a daily for value gap in this leg? There is not. So yeah, this could potentially retrace into this weekly for value gap to head higher. I'll add that to the long list. The thing is, we need to see what happens with Swiss franc. These CHF pairs have been difficult because I can see this going either way. This kind of low-key looks bullish to me, but I don't know, man. It's tough. Swiss franc, I'm kind of steering clear of because it's just been a tough read for me. Third candle on the monthly, potentially setting up a monthly fair value gap. Weekly, we are trading. This could be nice. This could be really nice for longs. Weekly, we are trading into this weekly fair value gap. If we don't head higher off this fair value gap, I would want to see us head higher off of that, but that would not be ideal. The most high probability way for us to head higher would be for the 4 hour to shift here and be bullish. So I'm gonna add this to the long list. This looks really good. Would love to see the 4 hour shift bullish there. We'll have nice weekly context on AJ. AJ has been extremely bullish. Monthly order flow bullish, weekly order flow bullish, right? So the longs are going to be the highest probability. Even with this kind of retracement, we don't want to get too zoomed in. We're just retracing to a weekly value area. Monthly, internal to external was completed. We expanded through that. Weekly, breakaway gap down here, breakaway gap right here. Daily does have this context, potentially head higher off of, but kind of sloppy right now. I'll add it to the wait list, but CAD CHF. These CHF pairs are weird again because I feel so 50-50 on CHF. We had this monthly internal to external, but it's not following through. You know, it's just CHF is in a weird place. So I'm just going to look at the order flow on these and not worry about the currency as much because it is 50-50 to me. But I'm not too interested in these CHF pairs unless I can get a clear read on CHF. Monthly internal to external, I would have wanted to see us continue higher. You know, we could potentially head higher off of this weekly internal to external, but again, I need to understand what CHF is doing if I want to take a long like this. And so that's why I'm hesitant. Didn't head higher off this. It's overlapping order blocking for value gap right here. We can potentially head higher off of, you know, prices offering discount of this range right here. Right? So could be nice internal to external context. Gonna add this to the long list. Again, we want to see a bearish yen if we're going to be longing XXX yen pairs. So I'm going to want to see yen shift on the 4 hour and head lower if I'm going to be longing anything XXX yen. Right, so that's really important to understand. I need to know what the currencies are doing if I'm going to be trading the pairs. Same thing here. Not much to say about that. Euro AUD. Let me catch up with the chat real quick. Alright, chat. What are you guys saying? Can you maybe explain why NQ was Friday so low? Can you rephrase that question? What value do you usually buy for forex eval? I usually buy 200k accounts. Have you covered NQ and ES yet? I have not covered indices or futures yet. Once I get through these crosses, I'll go through all the futures. So commodities and indices. Just got confused. Never mind. It glitched. My Dixie index chart is not clean on daily 4 hours. And you must be looking at something different. Greetings from Kenya. If Canadian dollar is consolidating, what does that mean for XXX CAD pairs? So based on that currency duality theory that I teach, you want to pair a weak currency and a strong currency. That is the highest probability pairing of currencies. A medium probability, meaning you can trade it, it's decent probability, is pairing a consolidating currency like CAD with a very strong currency, or pairing a consolidating currency like CAD with a very weak currency. That is the best thing you want to do. So when CAD is consolidating, you know, you don't really know what it means for XXX Canadian dollar pairs because you don't know which direction. You're kind of having to read the lower time frame order flow and say, all right, where is this consolidation heading? Is the consolidation heading towards the buy side right now, or is it heading towards the sell side? If Dixie is weak and yen is weak, would you trade UJ? I would not, because we want to pair a strong and weak currency. So I would prefer not to trade Dixie if they're both weak, but we'll have to see what happens. Can I just ask why you put G on waiting list and UJ on short list? Nothing about analysis, just some marking. I'm interested. Both have the same daily gap. Because UJ has context that we can retrace to that may not be a breakaway gap, whereas GU has a breakaway gap that likely isn't going to get retested. So to me, this doesn't have context right now. So to answer your question, the reason UJ is on my short list ready to go is because it already has context, whereas GU to me does not have context. This is a breakaway gap. I'm not expecting that for value gap to be retraded to. So one has context for me and one doesn't, which is why one of them is on the list and the other isn't. Why do you say potential bag? The bag has already formed, right? Because we don't know if it's going to be retested or not. We need to understand based on the lower time frame order flow where the order flow is pointing. You know, just because it creates what looks like a breakaway gap doesn't mean it's going to be. Nice. I got the chart colors for the bodies and wicks. What about your background? It's just pure white. Yen index chart is full with gaps on daily, 4 hour, 1 hour down. Why do you always care to know what the quote currency is doing and not? I care about both, quote and base. So if the base currency is bullish, then any pairs with that same base currency should be bullish. CHF, JPY, aren't they both weak right now? Yeah, I would say so. CHF is kind of weird. Again, when I'm doing this analysis, I'm just operating off of the context that they have throughout the week. That is when I'll ask myself those questions. So again, I'm putting yen on the list, CHF yen, but throughout the week, you know, if I see that they're both weak, I'm not going to trade it. So I'm more so doing that throughout the week. When I go through on Sunday, I'm just building a watch list of pairs based on the order flow. So based on what has clear draws and liquidity based on their order flow. And then throughout the week, that is when I'm like, all right, what is the highest probability out of all these? What is the pair that has a weak and strong currency, right? So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I explained that well. But that's the way that I go about it. Please, my yen index is not as clean as yours. I'm not sure, man. I don't know what you're looking at. All right, Euro AUD. No for value gaps on Euro AUD on the weekly or monthly. This is just gross. I'm good on this. Again, low probability. A good rule of thumb, if they're not creating for value gaps on the monthly, weekly, or daily, just skip it. Straight like that. Simple. This looks like it's seeking this buy side. Again, not favorable price action here. No for value gaps on the monthly, but the weekly is expanding here now. Clearly not heading lower from this weekly SIBI. Likely trading towards this buy side liquidity here. If we're not offering fair value here and heading lower, then we're seeking this liquidity. This is a breakaway gap. You know, we would not want to see this get retested. Look at this candle close, right? The third candle is clearly expanding. Same thing on the daily. Probably not going to get retested. Should just continue to expand higher towards that buy side. I'll throw it on the wait list because it is showing intention to want to head higher, but there's no context right now. Euro CHF monthly internal to external heading higher. Weekly breakaway gap, another weekly breakaway gap right here. We have that volume imbalance as well. There's a lot of imbalance right here. No daily for value gap in this price leg. It's possible this retest, but probably not. I'll add it to the long list. Euro pound just swept this really big monthly sell side. So we want to gauge again. Do we just continue lower through that sell side, or do we want to retrace now and head higher? You want to gauge this daily and 4-hour order flow. So the daily can either sweep this sell side right here and want to retrace now, or it will have a strong body close through and continue lower. I could see this going either way. I'll throw it on the wait list. Weekly, internal to external, I like this. Potentially head higher. If we get, you know, weak yen and then bullish euro, could be nice. So GJ and EJ longs could be nice. But we need the yen to shift bearish on the 4-hour from that weekly gap I pointed out. Euro NZD, we're in this monthly fair value gap. Strong close through it, not ideal. We do have this sell side down here. I was expecting us to potentially want to shift. Right now, it's just going to be on the wait list. We would need to see clear daily for value gap lower and a change in state of delivery to begin that daily market maker sell model. But right now, it's just not respecting this fair value gap. So it may not even happen. If it doesn't do anything like that, then I'm not touching it. GBP AUD has been bullish. We're inside this weekly fair value gap. Going to be pretty much the exact same thing. We want to see price shift bearish for shorts. Otherwise, this may be targeting buy side up here. Put it on the wait list again. Not my favorite. GCAD is going crazy. GCAD is blasting off. Weekly internal to external context. If you guys are in the Discord, we were trying to long this last week. I had a limit. I literally had a limit order. Bro, imagine just taking this to external. I was looking at this the other day. That's like 8R. And this was literally the entry I was looking at right here from this 4-hour gap. I only target 2R, static 2R, but man, that would have been a banger. Trading towards the external. That was where I was looking to enter. Yeah, this thing's flying. Not much to do on that right now, though. GBP CHF. Heading higher off of this fair value area on the monthly, weekly. It's had SMT with Euro CHF. I don't really use SMT, but I marked that out. Weekly breakaway gap. Daily, gonna be another breakaway gap right here. This is our overlapping area of that leg. Should be seeking this buy side, but we need context. Now, a lot of things are expanding right now, but there's just not a lot of context. Monthly, third candle, potentially setting up that monthly for value gap. Weekly, third candle. This looks like it wants to retest. GJ, again, I like it for longs. Could be nice. But we need to see a weak yen and a strong pound. So we will need to see yen shift bearish. Until that happens, we're not too interested. This never created that for value gap, but throughout the week I was looking at that. Likely just setting up now to retest that weekly for value gap and head higher. I like the XXX yen pairs potentially if yen shifts bearish. Probably not going to touch these CHF pairs. Again, I threw them on the list because they have context, but I'm not that interested in them right now. Unless I can get a clear idea of where 6S is going, I won't be trading those. So again, when I'm making this list, it's just based on the context, the IRL to ERL, the order flow. Throughout the week, that's when I'm like, all right, this pair is the highest probability out of all these, so I'm going to trade that. Should seek this buy side, but I don't know if this is going to retest. It might just be a breakaway gap and head straight to it. New Zealand dollar CAD potential monthly internal to external. I think AUD CAD has been a lot stronger because we have a consolidating Canadian dollar and then a stronger AUD. But this could be nice to head higher. Oops. New Zealand dollar CHF. This doesn't look good. I'm good on that. Just off those 2 time frames, I'm good on that. Monthly bullish. New Zealand dollar yen. Pulling back into this discount OB. Potentially head higher off of this. Also have this fair value gap down here. Not ideal though. I'm not gonna mess around with that. All right, this is what you guys have been waiting for, right? The indices analysis, commodities, futures, etc. Would you wait for after the news to trade intraday for the pairs relevant to the news? Again, so if it's not FOMC, NFP, or CPI, I will trade before it and hold through it. If it's FOMC, NFP, and CPI, I will not hold trades through it. Can you please explain in detail what you mean by a consolidating currency being medium probability when paired with a weaker, stronger? So I'm going to make a full YouTube video on this. You want to always pair 2 currencies. Ideally, the highest probability pair that you can make is a very weak currency with a very strong currency. And when those 2 come together as a currency pair, the price action is going to be much more explosive and higher probability. So that is the highest probability pairing. The medium probability, which you can still trade, it's still valid, is pairing a consolidating currency with either a really strong currency or a really weak currency. The lowest probability, red, whatever, like X, do not do. Lowest probability, don't trade it, is pairing 2 weak currencies together or pairing 2 strong currencies together. Because you'll see when we get that, we just get consolidation, seek and destroy. So that's like the best way I can explain it. I agree. Lots of things have already expanded. Need to wait for currency futures to give us right. Currency futures look weird right now. What do you think about no SMT, no trade? Do you think it helps? Yeah, that works. You're essentially just demanding relative strength or weakness on your trades. I see a lot of people swear by SMT. I've tried to make it work. I've used it. I've spent time looking for it. I just don't like it. It causes confliction in my trading. It causes me to hesitate. So I don't use SMT, and I think there's better ways for me to understand what is relatively stronger and weaker. So I don't need to demand SMT, but I do see people doing that. But yeah, the reason it improves your win rate is just because you're basically demanding relative strength or weakness on the pair that you're shorting or longing. So you can do that in a multitude of ways. There's many ways to skin the cat. You don't have to demand SMT if you don't like to. What do you do when the low of the down close candle that creates the CSD gets taken out? The low of the down close. Well, then I'm waiting until price shows clear fair value gaps higher, because then it probably wasn't a change in state of delivery. If it's a true change in state of delivery, the opening price will become fair value and price will respect it. So if it's a true CISD, once we trade into the higher time frame PD array, and then this candle expands through it, the opening price, right? So you know how CISDs work. Once we close, body close above the opening price, this becomes an order block and our change in state of delivery. If it is a true change in state of delivery and price is now drawing higher, this opening price acts as fair value. We should head higher off of that. If it doesn't do that, then we're likely not heading higher right now, and you need to wait. So what I would be doing is waiting for clear fair value gaps higher to say, all right, now we're ready to head higher. But what I do at higher time frame PD arrays is I just demand fair value gaps. All right. Indices. Extremely bullish. Price action has been beautiful on indices. Very easy to trade. I've been trading indices multiple times a week with my intraday model. Monthly, 17 days left on this candle. Might be a breakaway gap. We're trading at all-time highs. A lot of people don't like trading at all-time highs. I personally am loving it. I don't see why people have so many issues. Again, I'm not trying to sound arrogant or cocky. I'm just saying I don't see why people have so many issues trading all-time highs, because the reality is you're just longing every retracement in price. So once price retraces into discount arrays, either liquidity pools or fair value gaps, you're just longing those, until the order flow says otherwise. So I'm not sure why people are so I don't know. Like, I always see people say, oh, I hate trading all-time highs. I hate trading all-time highs. And it's like, bro, just literally long the retracements until the order flow shifts. You know, we're bullish until the order flow says otherwise. It doesn't need to be this difficult thing. So, again, all-time highs. We're operating at all-time highs. Monthly, potentially a breakaway gap. Weekly. Looks like a breakaway gap the way it has closed on ES. This may not want to retest. Throughout the week, again, we want to gauge the price action. We swept this high. So we swept this daily buy side liquidity here. And this is just not a favorable daily candle right here. You know, we're just consolidating. We went up, swept this previous candle high, and then we swept the low. Actually, it was the inverse. Sorry about that. We swept the previous candle low, and then we went up and swept the previous candle high. And now we've retraced back into that range. Regardless, you know, we're just consolidating in these last two candles on the daily. You have that weekly for value gap here. So I want to gauge on the 4 hour. Do we shift bearish and potentially want to retest that? That may not be the case because of this weekly candle close. We'll have to see. But again, it could go either way to me. If this creates new for value gaps lower, then it's pointing towards that weekly for value gap. Simple as that. So we want to gauge the 4 hour price action, but this just looks gross. So whoever just asked why NQ went lower on Friday, that is your answer. We swept this daily buy side liquidity, and then ES started pulling back. For NQ, we had traded into the premium of this range, and then ES swept that buy side liquidity. So then it pulled back. You know, they're correlated assets, so they're going to do the same thing. So on NQ, we want to gauge, right? Here, let me go from the top down again. Monthly bullish order flow. We're long biased. You know, there's no reason to be calling tops here. Weekly. So now this NQ candle looks much more favorable to want to retest this weekly gap. And if we do get that retest of that weekly gap, this could be beautiful, beautiful weekly context to operate in. So when we have, you know, clear weekly context, you guys know what we want to be doing. We want to be longing every single discount array within this context. So let me make this very, very clear. When we have this context, price trades into it on the 4 hour. This is where, right? I dropped into the 4 hour. This gray line is that weekly context. This gray box is that weekly fair value gap. So what we want to see potentially is the weekly trade lower into that weekly fair value gap. Sorry, the 4 hour trade lower into that weekly fair value gap, and then change state of delivery. Shift bullish. This is when the 4 hour market maker buy model engages. This is where the 4 hour is going to want to head higher. And at this point, you're longing every single 4 hour discount array until this buy side liquidity is met, because this is our 4 hour market maker buy model. And once this order flow shifts bullish, we want to be longing every single discount array. Simple as that. We have a clear weekly context to operate in. So the entire week, if we're bullish and the 4 hour is, you know, showing bullish order flow, then just long the discount arrays. So this is why I say, like, I don't get why people have such an issue trading all-time highs. Just long the retracements. So we'll see what the 4 hour does. If it just, again, every time frame is like a compass. So if the 4 hour just expands from here, which I personally don't think it will do, then we're creating a breakaway gap on that weekly. But the way this 4 hour looks to me with the weekly right down here, that weekly gap, I think the weekly is going to act as a magnet early in the week. And then we can potentially head higher off of that. So we'll have to see. Right now, we just need to see what the 4 hour compass says. I really, really hope that was insightful. I tried to go really into detail about how I see price, you know, internal to external context. We want to operate off of the market maker models within them. So again, I want to see this 4 hour order flow sting into that shift order flow, and then we're longing every discount array until that weekly buy side is swept or ran through. W analysis, bro. Fire. Appreciate you. What is your intraday model? My intraday model is called Solus. It's basically trading only ES and NQ. And what I do is I get a very clear draw on liquidity from monthly, weekly, daily, or the 4 hour. So I get my draw on liquidity, my bias from there. Then I use 4-hour and 1-hour PD rays. My PD rays are only fair value gaps and liquidity pools. So it's either swing points, old highs or old lows. It's all the same thing, liquidity pools. Or it's a fair value gap. Those are my higher time frame PD rays. And then I am taking 5-minute and 15-minute unicorns. That's it. Simple as that. 5-minute and 15-minute unicorns in the direction of that draw off those PD rays. That's all I'm doing. Rejection at 50%, right, on NQ. Yep, and that was when ES had swept that buy side liquidity. So it was very obvious that that wanted to just chill. And it was the end of the week. I mean, all signs were pointing to that. My internet's being spotty right now. Quote currency is ass price, or I don't know what you mean, brother. Please, which broker are you using for yen index? What is the yen index? You're talking about the yen futures currency? This is yen futures. This is the currency. It's not an index. Sorry, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying, like, I'm making it clear. This is a currency future. So this is the individual yen currency. If that's what you're asking, it's 6J1. It's not an index. So we wait NQ trade lower so we can trade when we have the right. You want to see if NQ wants to retest that weekly for value gap. Once we retest that weekly for value gap, you want to see the 4-hour shift bullish. Once we get that 4-hour shift in order flow and it shifts bullish again, that is when we want to be longing every 4-hour discount array or 1-hour discount array in the direction of that draw in liquidity, because we have that clear weekly context, that clear weekly draw. So you just want to be longing in the direction of that bias. So every single day throughout this week, if we shift on the 4-hour and we're bullish, then I'm going to be looking for longs from those areas. It's as simple as that. Hey bro, do you have an intraday scalp strategy model you use? Yeah, that's the one that I just described. My intraday model is what I just said like less than 5 minutes ago. It's called Solus, and then I'm not going to run through the whole thing, just go back in the stream. But basically I just broke down exactly what the model is. If you guys want to ask me questions about my model or whatever, just join the Discord. I'll drop the link right here in the chat. Join the free Discord. I am going to be in the future making a premium Discord. I talked about this in the last stream. I need to start valuing my time more, and it's just the truth, right? I'm going to be doing all the stuff on the YouTube, on the Twitter, Instagram, all for free. All the content is going to be out there for free, but I'm going to do the premium Discord because I have to value my time, man. I'm spending a lot of time in the Discord and answering questions and helping people, because I love to help you guys. Like, I genuinely enjoy helping people and teaching, but at the same time, right, I need to value my time. I can't just, you know what I'm saying? It's only fair. If you go and get golf lessons, if you go and get swim lessons, you have to pay to be taught and to get that mentoring. It's really only fair. So that is my stance on that. But the Discord is completely free right now. So there's the link. Join the free Discord. I'm going to have a premium one in the future where I'm much more hands-on teaching people. I'll even give out my full models, my full trading plans. But right now I just have the free Discord, and yeah, so not to go on a rant, but just want to be transparent with you guys. I want to be always the most honest and transparent person that I can be as a trader, as an influencer, whatever. Did you notice rejection at the 10 a.m. breaker? What do you think of the S&P and NASDAQ SMT? I don't use SMT, but let's go ahead and look at it. If you're talking about this buy side sweep and then NQ failure swing, it doesn't, there's no significance of it to me. I personally don't use SMT. It doesn't matter to me. I'm still bullish on indices. I want to see potentially, like I was just talking about, this weekly for value gap get traded into. If the 4-hour doesn't pull back and it just heads higher from here, then it might just be a breakaway gap and we're just longing towards this buy side liquidity. But we just need to be fluid with what the market says. If we close below this, we disrespect this 4-hour for value gap on NQ, then we're likely trading into the weekly fair value gap. That's our draw. So it'd be bearish into it. And then we're just waiting for it to shift bullish to begin longing. So I'm just waiting. All right, let's look at RTY. Let's go through commodities. And then we're basically through everything. Monthly, internal to external. Russell absolutely blasted off. That's an insane weekly candle. I want to see how many points this is. That's actually ridiculous. How do I... There we go. 150 points. It's fat. Large expansion towards this buy side. We should sweep that. It may want to trade into this daily. Busy, it may not. Again, we need to gauge the lower time frame order flow. Is the 1 hour and 4 hour pointing towards this daily fair value gap, or is it just respecting them and heading higher towards that buy side? Every time frame acts as a compass. Once you learn that, once you understand how every time frame acts as a compass to the time frames above it, that is when your trading will click. That is when my trading clicked. Not much to say here on YM. Daily gap right here. 4 hour. Can potentially head higher off that 4 hour and just target that buy side. We'll have to see. May not happen. Again, not too interested in that. I really only trade ES and NQ intraday. I haven't been messing with Russell or Dow. I just have them on the list because there's some of the indexes that are popular. Monthly, internal to external on crude oil. Weekly, pulled back into whatever this is. It's not an imbalance. There's nothing here. Could potentially head higher off that. Did the 4 hour shift bullish is my question. The 4 hour did not. See how the 4 hour fair value gaps, the 4 hour order flow is pointing lower. This is what I mean by using every time frame as a compass. The 4 hour right now is pointing lower. So we may be drawing towards this imbalance in price. Price is only ever either drawing to an imbalance or drawing to liquidity. The 4 hour right now is showing fair value gaps. It's showing intention to want to head lower. So I'm actually bearish on crude oil right now towards this gap. Gold, you guys saw on my stream on Friday, we were trying to get long. We were trying to long this right down here. Trying to get long right in here. Didn't get tagged in. Still think gold wants to head higher. Monthly, internal to external. So we have bullish draw in this entire month. Weekly, hasn't created. Actually, we did create this fair value gap right here. Weekly showing intention to head higher. Daily order flow, clearly bullish. Clearly showing intention to head higher. Small fair value gap right here. Four hour new fair value gaps. I think that we can literally just head higher off of this 4 hour fair value gap. I'm gonna remove this. Remove this. Yeah, I think that we'll head higher off this 4 hour fair value gap. I'm bullish on gold. Copper. Whoever was in the live, hopefully you're still in here. That was asking about copper. Monthly, internal to external, this area is acting as fair value for price. Weekly was really strong, and then we pulled back. Daily, heading higher from this discount fair value gap. I do ultimately think that this goes higher towards this buy side right here. So we have daily internal to external. Bullish on copper as well as gold. 4 hour is creating this fair value gap. I would want to see us head higher off of it. Silver. No monthly gap here. Kind of sloppy last 2 monthly candles. Weekly creating this fair value gap right here. Potentially may want to retest that. Again, the 4 hour acts as a compass. Is the 4 hour pointing towards this gap to head higher off of, or is the 4 hour saying this wants to be a breakaway gap? That is what we need to gauge. So this daily gap right here, the weekly gap will be down below. The 4 hour is pointing lower, so this may want to retest that weekly gap before heading higher. I'll throw it on the wait list. I would be more interested in longing this off of that weekly gap if we trade into it, and then we'll have that nice context on silver. What is your top watch this week? Honestly, nothing looks super amazing. ES and NQ, I think longs could be really nice. I'm still bullish on them. ES and NQ are up there. I mean, they're just so strong. I like the yen pairs, so I'm gonna add the yen pairs. I'm gonna move them up. I haven't went through and figured out what is the highest probability yen pair yet. I think GJ and EJ would be, because we have a strong GJ. Sorry, we have a strong British pound and we have a strong euro as the base currencies. And then if the yen shifts bearish, like we talked about, potentially, it may not. Again, if it doesn't, then I'm not interested in this trade idea. But if it does shift bearish here from the 4 hour, or on the 4 hour, then we have a strong pound and euro, and then we have a weak yen. So GJ and EJ should continue to blast off higher. I think I like those a lot. I like the yen pairs. I don't really like these CHF pairs, the Swiss franc pairs. I added them because they have some context, but Swiss franc just looks confusing to me right now. I don't feel like this is really obvious to me at all. We have the monthly internal to external. I wanted to see us clearly head lower from. We have this weekly gap that we are respecting right now, this weekly SIBI right here. Then we have the daily just doing whatever it's doing, right? So I think it can head lower, but it's just, I don't know, man. Not the highest probability. We're sweeping this high, we could head lower, but if 6S is bearish, then anything CHF XXX is bearish, and then anything XXX CHF is bullish. So if 6S does show clear signs to head lower, then we are good to long these CHF pairs, and we want to long the CHF pair with the strongest base currency. So that's how I do it throughout the week. So I like the yen pairs. I like the CHF pairs if Swiss franc is obviously bearish. And yeah, that's basically where I'm at. Really hope that this stream was insightful. I tried to go really in detail about everything. I will be uploading a new YouTube video pretty soon. Just waiting on the editor to get back to me with the edit. I've been a lot more consistent on Twitter. So if you guys want to see really good, valuable knowledge, definitely follow me on Twitter. I've been posting threads. I've been posting just really helpful stuff on Twitter. There's the link to my Twitter. Definitely follow me on there. I've been posting a lot more. Can show in Forex Factory which one is CPI, NFP, FOMC, because in Forex Factory there's so many. It says it on the news. It says which news it is. There's CPI, NFP, or FOMC. I think this is now a dumb question. Sorry, but how can I calculate my risk for the US 100? Because I don't trade with futures funded evals. If you operate within TradingView, there will always be a position sizing tool in TradingView where you just you drag the risk to reward tool where you want it. So if I wanted to enter up here and then put my stop loss right here, that's the stop, that's my entry, that's my target. Create limit order, and then it will allow you to position your size accordingly. There's an auto position sizer in TradingView. So if I'm you, that's what I would do. Can you save this live? YouTube will automatically save the live in my live section on the YouTube channel. So all my lives that I've done are stored and saved in the live session, or the live section of my channel. Can you show it first? Let me go to Forex Factory. I'll try to answer your question. I think I get what you're saying now. Forex Factory. Sorry, give me a second. I'm trying to find a good example. USD. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Where is it this month? Trying to find it. All right, July 29th to August 2nd is NFP. There's the FOMC statement, and then there's the FOMC press conference. So they're both FOMC, but one of them usually manipulates and then sets up for the move in the right direction. So what you'll see on FOMC is usually that first FOMC, like the statement will set up a manipulation in price, and then we expand on the second one. At least that's what I've seen commonly. So let me screenshot this and take a picture. I'm trying to answer your question. But they're both FOMC pictures. Dun, dun, dun. Take this. Sorry, I'm cropping it really quickly. Save. All right. So like July 29th, August 2nd. They're both real. It's not that one of them isn't real. It's that what you see a lot of times is with FOMC, that first statement will set up a manipulation into a higher time frame PD array, and then we will expand on the next. So there's all this news right on July 29th. It's not really about what is real or whatever. It's about understanding which way the order flow is pointing. So if we have a higher time frame PD array to retest, what you'll see is that news will send it into the higher time frame PD array. And then once that order flow shifts and is ready to head higher off of it, the next news that releases will just cause it to expand in one direction. So it's kind of hard to explain. I don't worry about like what is real and what isn't. All I'm worried about is, oh, is this FOMC, NFP, or CPI? Because if it is, then I'm not holding through it. But the order flow tells you everything you need to know. So if we've already offered fair value, if we've already stung into the higher time frame PD array, then that news is just going to send it one way in an expansion. But if we have a higher time frame PD array to retrace to and price is drawing to it, then the news is probably going to manipulate into it and then head higher off of it. I don't know if that helps. I don't know how else to explain it. That's how I look at it. Not too worried about anything other than the order flow, because everything that you can see, everything that you need is within the price. Like right here, for example, just giving a random example. If we have already stung into this 4-hour PD array and there's no reason to retrace on the daily, weekly, or monthly, and then news release occurs, it's just going to send it higher towards the buy side draw. It's just going to send it towards this liquidity. Whereas if we have news coming and we have the 4-hour gap right here that we haven't traded into, news will manipulate into it, then it will shift, and then the next news will send it. So that's how I'm looking at news. That's all I'm really worried about. Like Fed chest, you hold through it. Powell, I will trade through, personally. Again, FOMC, NFP, CPI. But if it's an actual FOMC news release, I won't. Powell to me is an FOMC. FOMC statement, FOMC press conference, and then the Fed funds rate. I would not hold through this. Non-farm NFP, non-farm employment change. NFP, I will not hold through this. CB consumer confidence, JOLTS job openings, I will hold through that. You know what I'm saying? So that's all you need to do. That's all I worry about with news. What show yen strength? Yen is, to me, in my opinion, yen is just retracing right now to head lower. Yen has been so weak. You know, it has to retrace eventually. We have this monthly gap up here, this monthly SIBI, but I don't expect it to retrace all the way up there. That would be a really strong retracement. I do think that it can just head lower off of this weekly gap. But for me to confirm that idea, the 4-hour needs to shift. So we'll have to see. If it doesn't shift bearish, then yen is still bullish and it's heading higher towards something up here. You know, maybe it's wanting to head higher towards that SIBI. But to me, that just seems like a really strong ask out of such a weak yen. I'm sure it's possible, but it's all about gauging the order flow, understanding what the order flow is saying. But yeah, I mean, that's all I'm doing. If you guys can't tell, all I'm doing is understanding the PD arrays on the higher time frame. All my PD arrays are liquidity pools and fair value gaps. So I'm understanding the PD arrays on the monthly, weekly, and daily, and then I'm using these lower time frames, the 4-hour, the 1-hour, whatever. I'm using them as a compass to guide me. You know, are they confirming the idea of heading lower? So is yen, once we, you know, throughout this week, yen is in a PD array on the weekly. It's in a fair value gap, a higher time frame PD array. Throughout the week, I'm saying, all right, is yen confirming the idea of wanting to head lower from this weekly PD array, this weekly fair value gap? So is yen shifting bearish? Is it changing state of delivery and wanting to head lower? Or is yen not confirming that idea and yen is still bullish? If that's the case, then yen will just continue higher through it and it'll disrespect this SIBI. And I know that it doesn't want to head lower from that. And that's literally all I'm doing fractally. That's all you need to do. Doesn't need to be any more difficult. I don't know. That's like the best way that I can explain it. Price is fractal. I do that on every time frame. So if it's a 1-hour gap, I'm doing that on the 5-minute, confirming that price wants to head higher off that 1-hour gap, that 1-hour PD array. If it's on the daily, you know, it's the same thing. I'm doing it on the 1-hour. It's all fractal. Price is fractal. So every time frame acts as a compass. Every time frame confirms whether or not we want to respect or disrespect those PD arrays. And again, the PD arrays are just, for me, fair value gaps or swing points, liquidity pools. So just to run through, this is what I have on my long list. Throughout the week, it will get reduced down. I will only pick the highest probability pairs out of these to trade throughout the week. These are all just based on what feels like I know the draw on liquidity. You know, what has clear internal and external draws. Shorts, and then wait lists. So that is my watch list. That is my forecast. I hope that this was insightful for you guys. I hope that you guys had a good weekend and you're ready to lock in this next week. I will be doing intraday live streams trading throughout this week, so definitely stay tuned. I will also be uploading a YouTube video very soon, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, if you guys haven't joined the free Discord, definitely hop in the free Discord. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. It's completely free. I'm in there answering questions. I'm in there helping people. So there's no reason not to be in that free Discord with a community of people that are just constantly sharpening each other. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap the forecast up here. And I really do hope that you guys found some value, extracted some value from the forecast. I appreciate you guys tuning in. And let's crush it this week. Do not, fall victim to yourself. Follow your rules. Keep the psychology dialed in. Trade your plan. Don't hurt yourself. Don't be the downfall of yourself, It's more about the trader than anything. It's not the strategy. So stay dialed in, stay disciplined this week. Follow your rules. Do not deviate. And let's have a good trading week. Appreciate you guys.